So if you guys watched my previous video here on YouTube, we talked about the upside potential that I saw on Tesla. Now, yesterday we had a really nice continuation move on Tesla, a very nice upside, and I was able to take a very nice profit on that move. Today, I came into the day looking for some pullbacks to potentially add to that position, add new positions, look for dip buys for that continuation to the upside on that larger time frame. Now, unfortunately, today, it looks like I bought dips that continue to dip. Tesla pretty much sold off the entire day. I had certain levels that I was looking at, which I will share with you in today's video, for those dip buys, and I did stick to that plan. But unfortunately, Tesla, it almost looks like Tesla had its own individual sell-off today, where the overall market remained relatively sideways. There's a few reasons why I did maintain my Tesla position today, regardless of the downside and the selling that we saw, and I want to review that with you guys in today's video. So I'll go ahead and show you guys yesterday's trade. I'll show you guys today's trade. I'll share with you the overall performance of the last 2 days on Tesla. As of right now, I continue to hold an unrealized loss on Tesla. Let's review the chart. Let's get an idea of where this analysis is after today's downside. If you guys enjoy the video after watching it, make sure to press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and dive into the charts. So let's go ahead and start this video off with the positive, the good trade, the trade that I was able to take full profits on this morning, actually almost top ticking Tesla up at that 265 rejection that we saw. Here's TradeZella. Here's the trade stats. $3,400 profit on Tesla. Buying this on Tuesday after seeing that 255, 256 break, holding it overnight. Beautiful squeeze yesterday, up past that 260. Doing really good job of taking profits there, taking some positions off, realizing some of those gains, holding a small contract into today, and you can see my last sell was right there around that 265 level. So really nice trade, 47% gain, $3,400 there on this trade individually. Very happy with how I managed this trade and the profit I was able to take out of it. Now, you can see that today, this is right here, we had a very major sell-off on Tesla. And today, there were some pullback levels that I was looking at to potentially dip buy Tesla for that continuation to the upside after the strength that we saw over 258, over 260. I was looking to see, can we get some pullbacks? Can the market maintain demand? And then can I re-enter some positions? In my eyes, this was a very logical explanation, a very logical thing to look for. A little bit of an anomaly today on Tesla. Tesla, if we go to the chart, you guys can see right here, pretty much sold off the entire day. The entire day, downside, downside. Every bid was sort of getting smashed. There was no real strength on the stock intraday today. And the reason why I had a tough time getting rid of the position that I was maintaining today, right, was because of the maintain on the NASDAQ futures and the S&P 500 futures. So here's the NASDAQ futures, and this was our previous high around 17,065, which we held very nicely yesterday, which resulted in some upside. Now today, we had a little bit of downside, right? But we still maintained above that overall demand below. So I didn't really want to sell a call position into this demand. It just didn't sit right with me to be selling positions as the NASDAQ had a very slow pullback into demand. So I gave Tesla a little bit more time than maybe I should have. I still like the Tesla position I'm in, but I'll go over some of the cons of what I did today and what I could have done better. S&P 500, same exact story here. S&P 500 futures, we had previous highs here, previous highs here, previous highs from yesterday, and today we opened the market above that level and we maintained that level pretty much all day. We can see demand stepped up at yesterday's highs on the S&P 500 futures. So I like to trade with the market. I watch the futures, the SPY, the QQQ to get an idea of what to do with my overall positions. And because of this hold that I saw on the S&P 500 futures today, I found it very difficult to exit my Tesla call position. Now, could I have just traded Tesla individually? Could I understood that Tesla was not following the market? Absolutely. That was the con. That's probably the thing that I would have worked on here on this trade. Now, this brings me to the Tesla trade in TradeZella, and I'm going to share with you guys the journal that I wrote in TradeZella. So guys, here is TradeZella. Here are the executions, and I'll line those up with Interactive Brokers for you. I'll pop them up on the screen for you guys to see. Started to purchase Tesla around 937, 951, 957 as we were pulling back into some dip buying levels that I liked. I was watching 263, 260, and 258 for dip buys right here. You can see right here, right in this area, 263, 260, and 258 were the dip buy levels that I was looking for, and I will visualize that on the screen for you guys to see in just a second. I talked about how I stayed in the position due to NQES maintain, and then I said that my con of the trade is that I could have exited for a smaller loss due to Tesla not responding to the overall market. Something I could have picked up on quicker, sort of trusted, just sort of accepted. I guess in my sense in this trade, and obviously guys, we are all going to make mistakes in trading. Maybe this trade I should have just accepted that Tesla was not going to move with the market, and I could have cut the loss maybe a little bit smaller than what it is right now. Now you can see right here, my pro of the trade was that the sizing was right? No single trade, if we're right, if we're wrong, no single trade that we take should monumentally affect our portfolio. So if you take a loss, I guess I didn't really take the loss yet. I still have an unrealized loss here on Tesla. But let's say I do end up taking this loss on Tesla. This trade cannot monumentally affect my position or my portfolio, right? This has to just be another drop in the bucket, another learning lesson, another thing to review, to improve on, a loss that we take as a trader, which is 100% normal. If you guys are out there taking some losses, this is trading. We're going to take losses in trading. It's good to review it. That's what I'm doing here with you guys now, and I hope you enjoy and learn from me reviewing and overlooking the trade that I did and some of the mistakes that I made. So pros for me, position sizing, proper sizing. If I lose, I'm not blowing up my account. I'm not monumentally affecting the account. Cons, maybe could have accepted a little bit quicker that Tesla was not going to move with the market. I'll go ahead and pop up on the screen the entries and exits on Interactive Brokers, as well as the loss that I'm currently in, just around $2,000 down on Tesla. So overall, net, still positive on my Tesla longer-term idea, but today was not a pretty one. It wasn't something that I wanted to see. It wasn't the ideal pullback longs that I was looking for coming into the day. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump into Tesla's chart. Let's review what happened today, and let's look at some of these levels. So today, we came into the day, we were above 260, which was a very major level, and a very nice retest level from yesterday. We came into the day holding above 260. The other level that I was watching was 258. Now, these levels were my pullback levels. These were the two levels that I was looking for Tesla to pull back into and potentially long. So I was looking for Tesla to pull back into 260, hold here, and potentially push to the upside. This would be a retest of these previous lows for a potential dip buy entry, which I did take an entry there. The next spot that I was looking for a dip buy was down at that 258. 258 was these previous highs right here, previous high right here, and previous high right here. So I was allowing Tesla to pull back and looking to see if we could pull back to that 258, maintain that level, and potentially have a purchase off that level. You can see now in hindsight, as we review this trade, these levels attempted to hold, but they did not ultimately maintain themselves, and they continued lower. Now, there is one crucial thing that happened today. That is what caused the continuation to the downside, and maybe something I could have picked up on quicker or sort of trusted a little bit more than I did. And that is this right here. This break and retest rejection of 260 today was key. After breaking that 260 and after seeing Tesla unable to get back above that 260, that was probably the best and cleanest short entry of the day. Looking at this, reviewing this chart in hindsight, right, you can see we had that 260 demand early morning, right? Ultimately, breaking, retesting, and rejecting that 260 is really what led to our downside move. Also, of course, the break and hold below the 258 demand. Now, if we go down into the 2-minute chart, which is where I sort of monitor these charts and monitor my trades, we can see that 260 right here had a pretty nice hold for majority of the morning. This is where I started to add some of my position in this area right here on Tesla. You can see we had an aggressive downside move off our 265 supply, which was what I was sort of expecting coming into the day. And I started to see if this 260 could hold. Now, ultimately, you can see 260 did not hold. reviewing this, looking at what I could have done better, I probably could have just accepted the loss under 260, right? After us breaking under 260, accepting that I am incorrect and accepting that Tesla is no longer holding that level and just sort of cutting the loss and moving forward from the idea. Now, the reason, again, why I had such a difficult time doing that at that time in real time, right? Of course, talking in hindsight is always going to be easier. But in hindsight, right, looking at this chart, you can see at that time, the NASDAQ was maintaining relatively well, right? We were holding the demand lows. We were holding sort of that 17,140 level, right? This was around that time that the NASDAQ continued to hold that demand low. And so I thought to myself, all right, Tesla broke 260, NASDAQ still holding, S&P still holding. In theory, if those hold those demands, I would expect Tesla to regain some strength and try to push back to the upside. Unfortunately, that is not what happened, right? And that's the consequence that I pay today on Tesla. Purchased around this 260, a little bit down at that 258. Also added a little bit up higher around that 263. So there were 3 adds that I took today on the downside on Tesla. Ultimately, none of them did hold up, and we're down at that 250, 240 today. So that's sort of my day, right? That's sort of what happened to me today. Where I added, you guys can see the entries and exits that I shared previously. Currently down on this position. Why I didn't take my loss, why I continue to maintain it due to that NQES. But now let's do a larger term analysis on Tesla. Let's take a look at where it moved down to, the levels that it's currently at, and that larger term analysis if it is still valid. So here's Tesla on the hourly chart. We can see the downside that came in today. This is where we came back down to, this 250, 250 area, which was some previous support here, and some rejections back on Thursday, December 14th. This, in my opinion, is the level that I want to see maintained tomorrow. If we break under this 250, 250, then I believe that Tesla will attempt that retest of that 247, that 20 SMA that's sitting down below. You can see that 20 SMA, which is right at where that demand stepped up previously, which led to this upside move, was down at that 247. So tomorrow, I want to see this 250, 250 maintain. If it does, I would assume we could push to the upside. If Tesla ends up breaking below this level, then I'm going to assume that Tesla wants to retrace back to that 247. To the upside, right? Now, after looking at this chart, what we have to be careful of is if Tesla moves to the upside, does it reject 258? Does it reject 260? Right? That is now what I need to be cautious of. If Tesla pushes back to the upside, does it turn these levels back into a rejection? That is very possible and something that I will be watching if Tesla is able to find any type of a bid tomorrow. If Tesla is able to move up right to the upside, are we going to break 258 and 260, or are we going to start to see those rejections step in again? That's the most important thing that I will be watching as I maintain this position. Now, if we go out to the daily chart, you guys know that the daily chart has been sort of that analysis that I've been paying attention to more than anything for that larger term idea. So here is Tesla on the daily chart, and you can see that we are still above that daily bull flag. We are still breaking out of that bull flag, and if we go to the weekly chart, we can see that we are also still above that on the weekly chart. Now, right now, that's not a great candle you're looking at, but that weekly chart analysis is still valid. You're still above that level, and that daily chart breakout is still valid as well. Now, the level that I believe needs to hold for us to stay valid here on this breakout is that 247 demand that we just talked about. So if we go back down to the 1 hour chart, you guys can see right here, that 1 hour chart, you can see the 247 demand, and that 20 SMA that we talked about, Tesla potentially pulling back to. As long as Tesla is above that 247, then I believe that this daily chart idea is still valid. This breakout of this downtrend is still valid. Under that 247, under those previous highs, and under that 20 SMA is where this Tesla move can really start to break down and ultimately fail. So I will stay interested in this longer term idea, which I previously talked about, as long as Tesla remains above that 247. But unfortunately today, I got caught in a little bit of a downtrend, a little bit of a dip that continued to dip, And as of right now, I do hold an unrealized loss. So tomorrow, for me, it's that 250, 250 right here, that 250, 250. And then ultimately, it's that 247 that I will be keeping my eyes out to see if this trade remains valid. Hopefully, you guys learned something from me breaking down this trade, some of the mistakes that I made, some of the things that I could have done better, some of the things that I still did do good in this trade, such as position sizing, right? Making sure that this trade was comfortable for my account. No single trade can detrimentally affect our account, cannot be detrimental to the entire portfolio, right? Every trade we take is just another attempt, another risk we take, another idea that we have. We can't let a single trade affect the entire performance of our portfolio. So right now, unrealized losses on Tesla. We'll see how this one works out. I will keep you guys updated as I always do on Instagram, on X. Make sure to follow me there. Thank you again for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.